What's happening YouTube? My name is Alex and welcome to a new review. For today I have another affordable smartphone from China called the Cubot Cheetah 2. So this phone reminds me a lot of the Note series from Samsung. So starting with the specs, we have an octa-core processor, it's a MediaTek 6753 processor, it's not the fastest processor out there. We have 3 gigs of RAM, 32 gigs of internal storage, a 3000 mAh battery and a 5.5 inch screen with a 1080p resolution. The phone costs around $160, so for all those specs I think the price is rather good. The back of the phone is made out of this very shiny plastic that gives the phone this premium feel. However, this shiny plastic tends to get scratched quite easily. We also have a 13 megapixel camera sensor, the flash and the Cubot logo. Behind the shiny plastic back you're gonna find 2 SIM card slots and a slot for an SD card. So this phone can take SD cards, and because we have Android 6 you can also install an SD card as internal memory, so it's very easy to do. The phone takes a nano SIM and a micro SIM and it can connect to 4G networks as well. We also have a 3000 mAh non-removable battery there, and the battery life it's not that impressive. I was able to get around 3 hours of screen on time and about 12 hours of usage on the phone. So not the absolute best, but it should be able to make it through an entire day, depending on the user. Another thing that makes the phone look more expensive than what it is the metallic frame around it. So on the right hand side you're gonna find the power button and the volume keys, and of course they're also made out of metal. On top of the device you're gonna find the 3.5mm audio jack, and the sound coming from this audio jack it's just on par with all the others under $200 devices. All the way at the bottom of the device you're gonna find what looks to be like 2 speakers. However, only one of them it's a speaker, the other one is the microphone. We also have a USB-C in there, and the charging time for this device is about 2 hours and 20 minutes. So there is no fast charging available. This phone also supports OTG, so you can easily insert an USB stick or anything like that, and the phone will be able to read whatever you have on that USB stick. Even though the speaker at the bottom of the phone it's not the loudest, it does sound okay for day-to-day usage, and here is a sample of how the speaker sounds. Moving on the front of the phone and starting at the top, we're gonna find the speaker, and the speaker is very loud and clear for making phone calls. You're also gonna see a couple of sensors, a notification light, and this notification light can change colors to whatever you want. And we also have a front-facing camera. The front-facing camera, it's an 8 megapixel camera sensor, and I was expecting that I would get better pictures with it. However, the pictures don't turn out that great. For daytime pictures they look okay, but for nighttime pictures they look absolutely horrible. And you're seeing a couple of examples of pictures that I took with this front-facing camera. We also have a 5.5 inch IPS display with a 1080p resolution. I'm very happy to see that we actually got a 1080p screen on this device. So the viewing angles are really good. You can see the phone in any angle, so no matter how you look at the phone you'll be able to see it, and the screen does get very bright. If you go outside there is some glare and some reflection on the screen, so that will make the screen a bit difficult to see. The good part is that the screen is covered by some type of scratch resistant glass, so I did try to scratch the screen on a couple of occasions and it doesn't seem to get scratched. What I don't like about the screen is those black bezels around it. If you have the blue version, as I do, they don't look that bad. However, on a different color version they do actually look pretty bad, and you can mostly see them if you have a light colored background. And all the way at the bottom we're gonna find the multitasking button, the home button and the return key. Unfortunately these buttons don't light up. The home button also has a fingerprint scanner inside, so all you have to do is touch the fingerprint scanner, so you don't actually have to push the button in, you just have to touch it and the screen will unlock. The fingerprint scanner it's accurate, but it's not the absolute fastest out there, so it takes half a second every time you're trying to unlock the screen. It still works good, and considering the price of the phone I think it's acceptable. That MediaTek 6753 that we have in this phone, it's not the absolute fastest, however it does do a good job keeping the phone fluent and fast. On the AnTuTu benchmark we get a score of about 36,000, and on the Geekbench 4 we get a multi-core score of about 2200. Like most Chinese devices these days, the Cubot Cheetah 2 it's using Android 6 with Cubot's own skin on top of it. And like most Cubot devices, the skin is very close to stock Android. Moving in between screens and opening and closing apps, it's done very fast, and the multitasking also works really good. So you can keep quite a few apps running in the background, and the Cubot Cheetah 2 doesn't seem to close those apps running in the background. The settings app on the Cubot Cheetah 2, it's also very simple. So if you're used to stock Android, this looks just like stock Android. So you're not going to find that many added features and basically useless features that we see on many of these devices. So for the internal storage, out of the 32 gigs, we only get about 25 left. The rest are being occupied by the operating system. But the speeds that I got for the internal memory are really good. So much better than a lot of these Chinese devices. The phone also supports a whole bunch of languages, but this is quite normal for a lot of devices from China. The only added features that I found on this phone are related to the fingerprint scanner. However, me personally, I would never ever use any of those because I just find them useless. The GPS unit inside this phone works very good, and it only takes a couple of seconds if you're outside to connect the satellites. Inside it takes about 5 to 7 seconds, so still very fast. Google Maps also works good, and no apps that use the location have any issues. For sensors, as you'd expect, there are quite a few sensors for this price, and all the sensors that are available in this phone seem to be working fine. For connectivity, the phone has dual band Wi-Fi and it can connect to 4G networks. The speeds on the 5 GHz Wi-Fi networks were very good, but on the 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi networks weren't the absolute best. Since I was only connected to the H+ here in Canada, so I wasn't able to get 4G. The speeds weren't that great, but that's normal, and that has to do a lot with the network, not that much with the phone. Even though we don't have the fastest processor out there, opening apps like ROM work really good. So you can zoom, scroll, do pretty much anything that you do with any device on Chrome. Opening the YouTube app and watching videos, it's also done very good. The videos go very smooth, and the maximum resolution for YouTube videos, it's 1080p. On the back of the phone, we have a 13 megapixel camera sensor interpolated to 16 megapixels. The camera app, it's the exact same camera app that we see for lots of MediaTek devices, so the camera app sucks, to put it in one word. We don't have that many options, we don't have that many features, and the camera app takes a while to actually take pictures, mostly if you are using the HDR mode, so not the absolute best camera app. For picture quality, if you take pictures in daytime, they look okay. And you're looking at some examples that I took with this camera, but if you take any pictures at nighttime, yeah, they're not usable and they look horrible. So yet another Chinese device with a camera that's got 13 megapixels that doesn't do that good. And it's time to conclude this video. So for under $200, the Cubot Cheetah 2 does look very premium, so you wouldn't say that this is a $200 phone. The processor that we have inside, even though it's not the most powerful, it's still okay for most apps. You can still play games. It's not going to do the absolute best for gaming, but it will be okay for 95% of the games available in the Play Store. I wish they wouldn't have those big bezels around the screen, but other than that, the screen does look bright and the viewing angles are really good. The battery life, it's not the absolute best, and I wish they would have more bands so you can actually use 4G pretty much anywhere in the world. So overall, it's an okay phone, but nothing that special, and there are so many other alternatives for under $200. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did like it, press that like button, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.